Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome along to the Rovers Rant podcast, where we discuss everything Rovers related and indeed many things from the wider rugby league world. And this is my very, very first podcast. I am something of a seasoned presenter because I have a YouTube channel dedicated to something else entirely, and that is a YouTube channel that I will seek to hide from many eyes, and but I'm also a hugely fanatical Hulkeston Rovers supporter, and I thought rather than drag down my other channel with so much rancid talk of rugby league, I may as well just dedicate myself to another stream entirely. So here we are. What can I first get off of my chest? You'll have noticed, first of all, that I do sound like a plum-throated gimp from Guildford. That does not mean that I have not won my East Yorkshire badges. That does not mean that I didn't grow up on Holderness Road and attend Ings Primary School and eventually move to Bilton and go to South Holderness School. That does not mean that I am not a proper Hull citizen, as good a Hull citizen as any of you watching. So yeah, if indeed you happen to think that I'm some sort of southern imposter from Plumstead, then that is not the case. I am, as I say, as ardent a Hull citizen as any of you. Okay, so if indeed you were ever tempted to malign me in the comments, now would be a time to desist. But anyway, we have come from the horrid, arid darkness of winter, and at last we are beginning to sprout out into the sunlit spring, okay? Rugby league is very, very nearly properly back at its competitive best. I've no doubt that John Wells is at this very moment clawing himself out of his cryogenic chamber, ready to molest us all with his senseless stats. I can imagine that Brian Carney is ironing his whiter-than-white chinos, ready to galvanise single mothers everywhere. I imagine that Jenna Brooks is, again at this very minute, descending from the Martian mothership, ready to interview men of the match so that we can all wonder whether we think her attractive or demonic, or perhaps both, who knows. I should imagine also that Rod Studd is packing away all of his dusty literature and seeing just how many similes he can cram into one commentary session on his dear rusty gantries. Yes, rugby league is nearly upon us again, and so yeah, as an opener, as a first episode, I thought we might like to get into first of all the pre-season piffle, which comes along annually, and yeah, what we can expect from the season and indeed the first round, and we may even dwell upon the Challenge Cup fixtures that have come before us. But yeah, here we go. So yeah, I've been watching a good many YouTube channels and a good many, Sky Sports broadcasts, as everybody tries to hype us up before round one. And I've noticed a good few things. The first being that we can all rest easy because every single Super League team is going to finish inside the top 8 and therefore is going to play in the playoffs. Countless have been the times at which they've mentioned very many different new clubs, and all of those clubs have been touted as, would-be successors to the crown. Oh, this club have a new coach, therefore they're bound to be in the top 8. This team have adapted their ground, therefore they're bound to be in the top 8. This team have been hunting in New Zealand and they've found 3 new signings. They're going to be in the top 8. Oh, this side had a very, very poor 2025, so they'll be bound to prove themselves in the new year. Oh, this side have signed X amount of players and therefore they're going to be there. Essentially, they ran through everybody, including Toulouse, including New York, the York City Knights, and indeed the Bradford Bulls. All of them essentially telling us that they're all going to have good seasons. There was absolutely no negativity involved in there, so yeah, once again the casuistry of the everyday pundit has struck once more, and so yeah, we can all rest easy because everybody's going to be brilliant. Nobody dare criticise any team whatsoever, and so that's good for the entirety of the sport. Also, again, we can all rest easy because everybody has had the best training camp since the Trojan War. Again, countless have been the times where people have mooched off either to Harrogate or to Tenerife, and reporters who have been in the press gaggle at those particular training camps have told us how, again, they're all lifting heavier weights and running 100 metres quicker and catching higher bombs and spinning quicker passes, and it's woe betide anybody who plays this team or that team or the other team in round one. And again, this mindless positivity is becoming a little tiresome. I don't know whether you feel the same way, but there we go. And the third conclusion that I've drawn from the pre-season piffle is that absolutely no rugby league professional should be interviewed in a long-form podcast under any circumstances whatsoever, because they may be good at grinding people into the dirt, they may be good at kicking 40-20s, they may be good at barking the orders out from the scrum, but they are not charismatic individuals, and therefore they should not be trusted with a microphone for 45 minutes at a time. They are no good at expressing themselves, at conveying messages, at being, at clicking with another human being on the camera. They are absolutely terrible. Whether it's Jez Litton, whether it's Davy Litton, whether it's Jake Connor or Mikey Lewis, all of whom have sat with Jenna Brooks over the last few weeks, they have been demonstrable dullards, and I think we should do away with them, to be honest, because we get nothing from them. They are too nervous, too uptight, they are clenching their buttocks before our eyes, and therefore it's all a pointless exercise, I'm afraid. So no more interviews with rugby league players, apart from at the end of the match where we get a 90-second snippet. Other than that, we can, I think, do away with it and retire the genre. And that's basically it for the pre-season piffle. And yeah, I think we're all just jolly excited for it all to start again. But yeah, the mouth breathers have been out in force, and I really can't be doing with it anymore. Which is perhaps also why I've chosen to start a podcast of my own, because I've had enough of John Wilkin and John Wells and other jibber jabberers, and it's time for common sense to reign supreme once more. There have been some Challenge Cup fixtures over the last week, and most of them have been butcherous and barbarous. Holkeston Rovers, our dear boys, won 104-0 against Loch Lane. I've seen a lot of squeamishness from the Robins fan base. Oh, well done Loch Lane for turning up, rubbing their heads in a rather paternalistic way. Oh, thanks for turning up. You did really well. And I really don't like it when we smash another team. It's not in the spirit of the sport when we completely annihilate somebody. When, I must admit, maybe it's the masochist in me, maybe it's the sadist in me, but I quite enjoyed winning by three figures. I do remember the days when Josh Chandler used to score 5 tries at Craven Park for the Wigan Warriors, beating us 82-6 or whatever. I remember what it felt like to be on the receiving end, and it's nice to be the ones clutching other people's jugulars. That's very, very nice. And we won 104-0. Learned very little from it because, of course, Loch Lane put up very little. But I think we may have learnt something, because had we won 42 points to 26 against an amateur side, then we'd have known that we were destined for 11th place in 2026. But because we ran right, we know that we're essentially where we were last season, I think. Other teams' progress notwithstanding. St Helens did what they always do, and completely butt-shagged an amateur team in Workington, was it? Yeah, they won 98-2. And Wigan won by a great scoreline as well. The only interesting fixture was Widnes versus Leeds, because I caught the bits of the game and watched the highlights and saw that nearly everybody but Jake Connor and Lockie Miller were in the Leeds lineup, and yet they only won by, was it 13 points? Was it 25-12 in the end? Brodie Croft was in there. Callum Watkins was in there. Ryan Hall was in there. The captain was in there, forgetting his name just briefly. But yeah, Leeds had, for all intents and purposes, a full squad, and they only beat a championship side by 2 points. So that bodes well for Las Vegas in a few weeks, doesn't it? So that's what's taken place. Hull FC won 60-0 against the Salford Red Devils. Any other fixtures do not need to be alluded to. So then we can move on to round one. And of course, we kick the season off on Thursday night against the York City Knights at the LNER Stadium. Other train companies are, of course, available. It's difficult to know what to expect, really, because we can go in with high-flying expectations and really, given that we're aiming for another treble, or at least we're aiming to be well ensconced within the top four again this season. We should really be shellacking these idiots, shouldn't we? We should really be winning by 3 or 4 scores, and yet you sense that's just not going to happen. We only need to look back 12 months ago when everybody expected us to romp through the Castleford Tigers, and it took the gorgeous boot of Mikey Lewis in extra time, in golden point extra time, for us to eventually be named the victors. February doesn't lend itself to expansive rugby unless you're playing on AstroTurf. The pitch is going to turn up and it's going to turn everything into a mudlark. Again, they have Paul Vaughan, they have Paul McShane, they have others. We'll go into the named squad in just a moment, but I sense that it's not going to be as easy as we might like in our rosiest and most comfortable dreams. But again, we should still win by 2 or 3 scores, should we not? We may as well run through some pre-season signings. You can tell here that I'm not going off a script and that I'm trying to gather together some sort of routine for the future episodes, so that things might be more regularised and regimented in future weeks. We have signed Jordan Desiree from that is his forename, isn't it? I'm not making that up. We've signed Desiree from the Catalan Dragons. We've signed Carl Lawton from the North Queensland Cowboys. We've signed Tom Amone from the Lee Leopards. Jack Charles from the Stinky Neighbours Hull FC. And who else have we signed? They're momentarily leaving my brain. We've signed other people, but they're not quite coming to mind. Declan Murphy from the Salford Red Devils. He might be a pick for Young Player of the Year. He has the loosest hips in the Super League. And I think he's probably going to be a star of the future and somebody to replace Tyrone May when he swans off into the distance at the end of this season, probably. So those are our signings, and I think we can expect lots from all of them. Desiree and Amon are injured already, which isn't a good sign. I think some shrewd business done there from whoever it is that conducts our signings. But I may as well go through. I have on my phone. I have the starting lineups from the respective teams for Thursday, the 12th of February. So this is the 21-player squad for the York City Knights. And we may as well just reel them off. There will be some surnames butchered and some derivations puzzled at, but again, you'll have to bear with me. So we have number 1, Toa Matafa. Ben Jones Bishop, remember him. Sam Wood from the Castleford Tigers. Scott Galanio, Mafawita Hingano, Liam Harris, Jack Martin, Paul McShane from Castleford, Paul Vaughan from Warrington, Josh Griffin from Wakefield, Jesse D, who sounds like somebody you might watch late at night under the covers, number 13, Jordan Thompson, Deneve Barmforth from Hull FC, Xavier Varr, Justin Sangare, Danny Richardson, formerly of this parish, Ollie Field, Kieran Buchanan, Jack Smith, who appears to be a referee and yet is going to be in a yellow and black strip this season, Nico Williams, and King Vuniyawa. So it seems to me that the York City Knights have been spending in the Antipodes. They've gone to Samoa and to Fiji and to other such island nations in and around Australia and New Zealand and spent at will. Not very many people to trouble in that lineup, I don't think. Paul McShane was good 5 or 6 years ago, but he is ageing. Paul Vaughan was the shortest shorts in all of Super League. But again, I think he's in his dying days, I'm afraid. Josh Griffin can still do a job. Ben Jones Bishop must be 46 years of age by now. I suppose they all have a point to prove, and they'll all want to show that they aren't going to be the whipping boys in 2026. Rovers have a target on their/our backs or whatever, but apart from that, I can't see any bother. And this is our lineup in particular. We have Archie Morg at fullback, of course. We have Tom Davis, we have Peter Hiku, Oliver Gildart, Joe Burgess, Mikey Lewis, Tyrone May, Suasso Sue, Jez Litton, Dean Hadley, James Batchelor, Elliot Minchella, Jack Broadbent, Sam Luckley, Jai Whitbread, Reece Martin, Jack Brown, Carl Lawton, Noah Booth, Bill Leyland and Tom Whitehead. Now that, of course, will all change by the time we scuttle out for a warm-up at 7 p.m. on Thursday. But that's basically just 1 to 21, wasn't it? Amon's out and Desiree's out with hand injuries and hamstring injuries, respectively. So we may just finish for the last 5 minutes on on season's expectations. Again, I've heard Paul Cook say, and many others say in the lead up to the season, that this is going to be a strange sensation for Rovers, being the hunted team. I think this is absolute rubbish, simply put, given that from round 4 of 2025 we were the top dogs and we were the ones with the targets on our backs. It's not as if nobody has ever known that we were the top side. I think we're rather used to this emotion, actually, given that, as I say, we were in first place, and Wigan and Lee and Leeds and sundry other teams were looking to dethrone us for most of last season. So I think it'll be business as usual with Willie Peters. And I can't see it affecting us whatsoever. And of course, we have the difficult start to interrogate. It can't be. I mean, it isn't doubted that it's undeniable that we don't play at home for about 6 or 7 matches, which is a little bit ridiculous on the scheduling's part. But there we are. But we don't. I mean, we play the Brisbane Broncos, who I've heard are pretty good, and we play the Leeds Rhinos in Las Vegas. But apart from that, our first, dare I say, our first properly hard matches at home is against St Helens. We go away to Huddersfield, and of course we go away to York. But apart from that, and we go away to both French sides, I think, in the first sort of 7 or 8 games. But apart from that, we don't play Wigan or Lee or, heaven forfend, Hull FC for a good while. And so, again, I have no doubt that in 4 or 5 weeks' time, I am going to be eating these words with salt and pepper and tomato ketchup on the side, but I think a lot is being made of our difficult start, and I think with our renewed and bolstered squad depth and with our sort of carry on regardless attitude in the camp, I can't see it being too debilitating or too tough a schedule. The travel might get in our ways, and we might lose a random match to somebody whom we're expected to beat, but I don't think, as some are forecasting, that we're going to be 6 points behind the league leaders after 6 matches. I can't see that personally, but you may think so. But yeah, there we are. I think that will pretty much wrap us up for the first episode of the Rovers Rant. I'm not going to tell you to like and subscribe because that is done by YouTubers with short willies. But of course, if you do want to like and subscribe, that would, I suppose, be a positive, and it would be nice. And if you want to congregate in the comments, tell me why I'm a fool, tell me why I'm way off the mark in many regards, then that would be good as well. But yeah, I'm going to be here probably twice a week with previews and reviews. Previews and reviews. And yeah, who knows what audience we might amass? Who knows what the 2026 season will hold for Willie Peters' men? But yeah, this has been just a sort of an opening throat clearing, a chance for me to announce myself. My name is Joe, by the way, for those concerned. And yeah, let us hope that we have many more trophies to lift, many more enemies to elbow, and very many more points to score. So yes, I will, just for now, I think. Thank you ever so much for watching, YouTube. And let us hope that we can have a very, 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 very interesting 2026 Rugby League season together. But I suppose the answer would be, come and get us, Super League. We're here for the taking with our difficult schedule and our relaxed attitudes. Hull Kingston Rovers are going to be the lame ducks in 2026, so come and get us.